one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Amen.
First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I think we do have one change, I think, under organization of the board, number 4, item G. It should be Miss Vera Ely instead of Mr. Varnador for the A. Linwood Holton Governor School. If you'll make that correction, and then I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Approval of agenda passes. First, under the organization of the board, the election of the chair. I'll open the floor up for nominations for chair for calendar year 2025.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Robert Hines for chair.
Have a nomination for Mr. Hines for chair. Do we have any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll close the floor for nominations for chair. Everyone in favor of Mr. Hines being the chair for calendar year 2025, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Congratulations.
Next, we have organization of the board, election of the vice chair. I nominate Nancy Garrett. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is appoint Stacy Belcher to attend meetings of the school board in the absence of the division superintendent. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, appoint Karen Combs as clerk of the school board and Jessica Phillips as the deputy clerk of the school board. Do we have a motion?
I so move.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, appoint Stacy Belcher to sign Virginia Department of Education documents in the absence of the division superintendent. I'll make the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, appoint Brian Dean as the agent and Stacy Belcher as the deputy agent to examine and approve claims and to authorize the payment. Do we have a motion?
I so move.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Appoint Stacy Belcher as a purchasing agent for the school board. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, the amended item, appoint Vera Ely to serve on the A. Linwood Holton Governor's School Board. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Appoint Rod Hines and Gary Williams to serve on the school board budget committee. Do we have a motion?
I so move.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Then we'll designate members of the school board to serve as a liaison on the following committees, which there's a list. Can you read them all?
I can read them, whatever you want to do. Or they're in the agenda, but
Let me CT Advisory Committee would be Gary. Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee would be Varnador and Williams. Employee Insurance Advisory Committee, Hines and Garrett. Gifted Advisory Committee, Hines. Head Start Liaison and Designee for Head Start Budget and Personnel Committees, Varnador. Special Education Advisory Committee, Garrett and Ely. Support Staff Superintendent Communication, Ely. Teacher Superintendent Communication Committee, Garrett and Williams. And Region 7 Virtual Academy, Garrett. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Establish meeting rules of order and parliamentary procedure, Robert's Rules of Order, 12th edition, the modified version for small boards. I'll make the motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And last but not least, establish that meetings of the Lee County School Board will be held on the second Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. at the school board office. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second? I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is recognition. Do we have any recognition?
Mr. Chairman, we do not have any recognition tonight.
Okay. Next is public comment. Since we have no public, I doubt there's public comment.
Mr. Pendergraft.
What?
I know how he runs the meeting, let's go.
Next is board comments. Anybody have any board comments? So I think we, at least I neglected to do it last month. I know, I think in November or early December, Beverly Elkins passed away, former teacher at Lee County Public Schools, and certainly wanted to send our condolences out to the Elkins family and others. So I just wanted to mention that, and that's all I have.
And then Tara
Oh, that's right.
Eastep passed away this past
Yeah,
week
that's
too.
right.
So
Our condolences to that family.
Absolutely. Next, we have the consent agenda, which is approval of the minutes from the December 12th, 2024 regular meeting, approval of claims and expenditures, approval of a field trip, LCCTC, Cindy Garrett, DECA State Leadership Conference, Virginia Beach, Virginia, February 27th, 2025, approval of update to Lee County School Board Policy DN, disposal of surplus items, approval of disposal of surplus property for School Board Policy DN, disposal of surplus items, approval of authorization for the division superintendent to fill vacancies existing or occurring between January 9th, 2025 and February 13th, 2025. Do we have a motion?
I so move.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is reports of the board. Do we have any reports of the board? No. Do we have any reports from the student representatives?
No. We haven't been in school to do anything.
That's right.
We did have our winter formal though, and it went really, really good. It looked really, really nice. A lot of the teachers said that was the best one that we've hosted, so that was really nice to hear.
Okay, thank you for that. Next is reports of the division superintendent.
Mr. Chairman, under enrollment, we are down to 2770. It's a decrease from last month. I think we were 2779, but that's still above the number we built the budget on, so we're still in good shape there. Operations update and transportation update is in your packet. Do you all have any questions on either of those? Like Riley said, transportation, we've been fixing things and running roads, trying to have school, but we've not been able to do so, and now we have a storm moving in for tomorrow. Operations, we've been fixing things and trying to make sure we're ready for when the students come back. Working on the all-ed building and things like that, and making sure the boilers are up and running. So any questions on either of those? I want to recognize our principals during January 13th through the 17th. That's Virginia School Principals Appreciation Week. I know got Mr. Pendergraft with us tonight, and we got a great group of principals that do a great job, and I ask that everyone to recognize those during that time period. In your packet, I think you have a copy of the news release that we had from Virginia Department of Education stating that the Virginia School Performance and Support Framework had been approved by the United States Department of Education. They wanted us to make sure everyone was aware of that, so we put that in there. They've got a couple of items you can click on and see different things there, but this will go into effect. We'll get our first rankings or ratings at this fall from the scores we have this year. So that was approved. I just want to make sure you all are aware of that. Put a copy of an article in there about the legislative session that's getting ready to start in Richmond. I think it might have been delayed because of the water issue that they've had in Richmond. But I wanted you all to see a couple of things to look at. The localities portion would be either 7.6 million, almost 7.7, or just a little over 7.7. That's the dark green on the back. And I know we had some heated discussions about budget last year, but I think a lot of it's going to depend on if we get the funding that we ask for, where we're going to be compared to where we are this year. So planning on asking the Board of Supervisors for the funds and the categories that we didn't get this year that we hope they fund for next year's budget. But any question on those, and I can try to answer them. It is a draft. We'll appreciate Ms. Belcher's help on it. We think the numbers are correct based on the calculation tools that we've received, but I can go ahead and tell you there'll be a lot of changes when they get up there and really get to work.
Okay.
So it's still a work in progress.
Next is unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business?
No, sir.
Next is action discussion items. First is the instructional hours, days, and virtual days.
As you all know, we've missed a bunch of school. We actually went every day in August. September, we missed 2 days for the hurricane. October, we missed 1 day for the hurricane and had 2 delays for the hurricane. The governor declared a state of emergency during the hurricane, and I asked the state superintendent if we could be forgiven for those days, which she did grant us. So those we don't have to make up. November, we missed 1 day for snow. I think that was the day right before Thanksgiving break. December, we missed 3 days for snow and had 2 two-hour delays, and then we dismissed on a half a day. So we finished the first semester with 472 hours. We've already missed 4 days of school this semester, because since we canceled for tomorrow, that'd be the 4th day. If we don't miss any more, we would have 525 hours in the second semester, giving us a total of 997. The original requirement for the state of Virginia is 990, but when we got those days forgiven, it reduced that requirement to 968. So I just had this on there as a discussion item. Currently, we have 29 hours above the requirement that we could use for missed days or delays. If we get the snowstorm we've got, I don't think we'll be in school Monday if we get all of that. But what I wanted you all to think about is we've got a few options. The governor did declare a state of emergency for this snowstorm this week. I have asked the state superintendent about forgiveness for those days. She has not gotten back to me yet because I think of the water issue in Richmond. They've kind of, I think people have went different places to take care of what they need to take care of, but that's a possibility. We do have the option of doing up to 10 virtual days. That's still in the code. I think that is an option that we can look at, but I think we need to have school so we can get the teachers back in and get everybody ready for that.
Pastor, it's sad because when your high schools, since they're on block, they don't know who they have, right?
Right, it's a whole new set of schedules for the high school. Some other options we could have that if we had needed to, Ms. Belcher and I talked about this several years ago. We added some time to the school day to make up some time. And of course you can also alter the calendar. I don't think anybody really wants to alter the calendar, but just wanted to make you all aware and see if you all had any questions about this. I think the first step is for me to see if we get any of it forgiven from the state superintendent. And I'll get that answer and then we'll know kind of where we're at.
I think we just need to think about establishing a policy that we're going to do this virtual from now on. So people will be aware and teachers will be ready to do it when we get a situation like this, and then we don't get ourselves in such a bind with hours and days and whatever. Because I know this Gate City or Scott County does that, right? They already have it in place.
And I think Wise County does it.
Wise County
Wise
does too.
Okay.
I mean, there are some caveats with the virtual. I will tell you that we have to offer a lunch pickup or send food home, which we can make work. I mean, either way. I mean, if you know you have a snowstorm coming, you can send food home.
Okay.
And then some of the special education students that we have to provide services, that's a little tricky when you have to figure out how to do it because they're not in the building.
Sure.
But we can do different types of things to make that work. But I just wanted to make you all aware of where we're at. We're still above the requirement, but we're starting to get a little closer. So if that's your all's thought pattern, when we get back in school, we'll have the virtual ready to go.
Got a principal back here. What do you think about that?
Well, and Miss Seeley and Miss Garrett may have still been at Lee. I don't know if they've retired yet or not, but I will say the year we did extend the day to 4 o'clock was absolutely miserable. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with you, students are done by that point. So you're doing it to get the time in, but educationally speaking, it didn't benefit us very much, so.
I agree. I was going to tell you, that's like a teacher torture. Yes. And it was torture to the students as well. Well, yeah.
It was. It was just, everybody was miserable.
I think, yeah, we just need to get back in session, implement it, and because, I mean, nobody wants to lose their spring break, nobody wants to lose their summer. People have already got vacations planned and stuff like that. I had one teacher reach out and they're like, I've already spent thousands of dollars on vacation the week of spring break. We know we gotta be getting close, so, yeah, I think just do virtual and, yeah.
I'll share that with the administration, and as soon as we get back in school, we'll get that rolling.
Next is grade classification.
You all know we've talked about this several times. I put a packet or some information in your packet. What I did was showed you the enrollment at each school as of the end of December. Now, I'll guarantee you it's changed some when we get back into school, but the green section is the enrollment at each school as of the end of this December. So like at the top, Dryden had 240 students divided between Head Start, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and not fifth grade, but fourth grade. The kind of the reddish orange color, that is what those schools had exactly 10 years ago. So Dryden 10 years ago had 347 students, but it was Head Start fifth grade at that time. The two yellow type pastel colors there in the middle are hypothetical numbers for next year. One would be based on Head Start through fourth, the other one based on Head Start through fifth. On the back or the second page is the middle schools, and at the bottom of that page is the high schools with different scenarios. The numbers in the middle school and the high schools are fairly accurate, except for if you have any retentions, they could change a little bit. The elementary schools are hypothetical based on birth rates and our best guess. You can't always go by birth rates, because from 2015 to 2022, Lee County's had live births of 225 down to 158. So it's it's a best guess. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. But I just wanted you all to look at those numbers to see what grade classifications would have an impact on each school. And I think if you all want to do something, if there's a change that's going to be made, it needs to be done by the board meeting in February. So I want you all to look at this. I know I asked you all to talk to some of the principals. I think some of you all have. I know we've not been in school, but any questions on that, or is there any items that you all would like for us to explore to give you more information before you make that decision?
I've reached out to several administrators, middle school and elementary, and the common consensus that I'm getting is wanting it to be K through 5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12 to move back to the traditional way the state is aligned, but also the way it was before it was changed, and and just do that in the eastern district, and then in a couple of years, if we see a significant increase in test scores and the direction that we're wanting things to go, then we explore doing it in the western district as well. But that's the well, every administrator that I talked to, that was exactly what they wanted. They were not in favor of having fifth grade at the middle schools.
Did you talk to any primaries?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Yeah.
They probably didn't want the fifth grade.
They did want, because of the testing, because it's a more.
Did you talk to Flatwoods?
She was gone when I tried.
That's the school most impacted
Yeah.
by this whole thing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I understand that, but but if we're doing it for the testing reasons and stuff, to improve our scores and things like that, then I think that it needs to be uniform. And I think there's a lot of testing that will, if we put 5 through 8 at the middle schools, there's going to be a tremendous stress on those schools for testing. A lot. I mean, and some of that stuff, I don't know. It's a weird fit for fifth grade to go to middle school. It just as it can be a weird fit for eighth grade to go to a high school. So
It's like a balancing act, though.
Yeah.
Because when you start talking about age-wise and what all you have, when you primary, when you're talking about Head Start through 5th grade, that's a pretty big age group.
It is.
It's more equal in each level if it would be like when consolidation first happened.
Yeah.
But
if we're doing it for the reasons of that have been stated, of it's not just because we want to get 8th grade away from Lehigh High, that it's for a reason of the statistics show that if they test better at these grade levels, or in these environments, then that's the direction we want to go. And
well, you can take test scores and numbers and you can skill any way that you want to.
I'm sure you could.
So, sometimes that isn't valid information. You have to look at all angles.
Okay, so what would be the reasoning that we're moving these kids?
Well, one of the big reasons was 8th
I'm
grade
just
cannot be
asking.
separated from Lehigh because it was not built.
Right.
They intermingle.
Well, so does Thomas Walker.
Right, but they've done it for 100 years, right?
Well, they didn't
And
have.
it works and it's
It
okay.
does, but and I'm not arguing, but I want to just say this and I talked to Mr. Williams about it. Why don't we try, if that's the concern, instead of segregating them, why not just put them in there like they do at Thomas Walker and say, hey, you're all together? I don't know. I'm just hearing from a lot of faculties, and I've not reached out to Ms. Crabtree. I've not, well, I attempted to, but I didn't get a hold of her. But everybody else was very much on board with that. So, but whatever decision we do make, I don't think we need to do a trial and error of let's do it for a year and then try something else, because then we're going to be right back to square one and have to move more people.
Well, that's a lot of moving though, when you
Yeah.
talk about 2 grade levels.
Yeah.
I think it would be much better to try 8th grade and for a year, and then if that isn't working, then try to do something with your 5th grade. But, on your opinion.
I would like for us to take our administrator.
And I know you all had different thought patterns, and that's why in the middle schools, there's 3 different scenarios with those numbers. I did a 5-7 scenario, a 6-8 scenario, and a 5-8 scenario to show you how the numbers would impact those schools, so I put those on there as well.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to closed session. I will move that we go into closed session to discuss personnel under Code of Virginia Section 2.2-3711A1, property acquisition under Code of Virginia Section 2.2-3711A3, student discipline, Code of Virginia Section 2.2-3711A2, and pending and threatened litigation under Code of Virginia Section 2.2-3711A7. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are now in closed session.